It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
It is game day for the Edmonton Oilers, as many people mentioned on the Nielsen show this morning. The 80-game regular season starts tonight, and that's what we'll get into here on Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Cass, and just a really cool picture of Gager. He's going to join us in about 4 or 5 minutes, but Cass, how cool does that picture of Gager look?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. What they don't show is the puck is actually going over his shoulder at this moment.
Yeah, I think Matty Iwanek probably just photoshopped out the net and the puck.
Yeah, well, you had to, because the puck was going in, and we didn't want to hurt his feelings that much.
You know what it feels like to me in that photo? It looks like he's trying to pull off a Billy Ranford. Like if he gets that one hand a little bit lower and brings it in a bit, that glove hand, starting to look a little bit like Billy there, doesn't he?
He is, and what he's trying to do is he's just trying to tempt the shooter. He's like, go for my glove hand.
Yeah, the glove's waiting for you. The glove's waiting for you.
Yeah, he's waiting, and he wants to catch it in motion so he can do like the full windmill.
Yeah.
Like just over exaggerate his movements and try to look really cool.
I think Maddie's working on something here. Are you gonna put the puck right between his legs? There it is. That makes more sense. Going five hole on Gager. All right, we got lots of comments already rolling in. If you are listening right now live to Two Guys and a Goalie, feel free to text us. Oilers and the Nashville Predators tonight. And I see some people saying go Oilers. Positive thoughts only tonight. It's for the team. I know here in the city we're going to break things down. They're mixing up the line combinations. We'll get into that as well. But if you're the team right now, you still got to feel pretty positive about yourself, right? You came into the year as the Stanley Cup favorites. Yeah. Sure, you started 0-2. You peppered the Canucks in shots on Saturday. You just didn't win. That confidence level still got to be maybe not at 100%, but is that not like at 92 or 93% still?
Yeah, they're not panicking. And the post-game show, was a little fired up, but not overly fired up. Not as fired up as I was after the first game.
Yeah.
And I think rightfully so. And Tommy asked me a great question. He asked, what's the mood like going to be in the room? Like, what is the coaching staff saying in the room, either after a game or the day after? Then I said, they're probably not going to freak out. Like, they're going to focus on the positive things. And they'll try to clean up some of the negatives, but you're going to focus on the positives. Like, I don't think you need to, and you probably showed the clip of having 5 guys below the top of the circles in the offensive zone to give up a 2-0, but it's not like you're going to beat that to death, because that's like, everybody knows you don't give up a 2-0 from the goal line out in the offensive zone. Like, you just don't. That should never happen. So it's not like you're going to be overly focusing on that too much. And they're going to look at some of the good things that they did and say, we did some really good things. We got a lot of shots. Vancouver got some good goaltending. We made some big mistakes that we can clean up. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to say, we clean those things up, we win that hockey game. That's going to be the mentality. So they're not feeling, I think, too beat up, maybe a little disappointed, a little frustrated with themselves, but they're looking at it as an 82-game season, and they're not freaking out about it. Now, Dusty, if they lose tonight, I could see a mood shifting rather quickly, and not to like a pure panic mode, but to like going from it kind of being, a little frustrated, but we did some good things, to being like, man, we got to turn this thing around, which is not what you want to have 2 to 3 games into the season. But we have to see how tonight plays out. We know Draisaitl's going to get like 8 goals, so
you'll probably be okay there. Yeah, I think
most
you'll probably
likely
be okay there. Yeah, it's funny. Like an 0-2 is like, oh, don't worry about it. It's 2 games. And 0-3 is kind of like, okay, now you got to put together a 3-gamer to kind of get back to 500, which they're certainly capable of. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird thing to say, but I do think 0-3 sounds a hell of a lot worse than 0-2.
Well, 1 and 2, right? The difference between
0-3 sounds way. You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, and 0-3, like again, it's early in the season, but just mentally, there's a pretty big gap there. Like you just you have to overcome. And even from a the type of team you want to be standpoint, I mean, lots of teams talk about you play a bad game or you lose, you don't want to lose 2 in a row. Like the best teams very rarely during the course of a season lose 2 games in a row, and extremely rarely, maybe there's one stretch a year where you lose like 3 games in a row or 4 games in a row. I mean, you look, and I don't certainly expect them to have a record like Boston did last year, which is record setting. But when you look at them and saying, okay, we want to be one of the best teams in the league, not many of the best teams lose 3 games in a row. So it's an important game tonight, an extremely important game tonight. And it's not football where you don't have as many games, but if we look at football seasons and we talk about the number of teams that start 0-3, not many of those teams make playoffs. Now it's different.
Yeah, much different hockey. In hockey, would have to be like a 3-15 start or something, right? Like
something like that, where or like a 3-10 start or something like that, where you're not making it. But I think just mentally, the difference between being 1-2 and being 0-3 to start a season, I think that's a huge difference. I think it's a huge difference mentally.
Part of me thinks it's like for example, Kane was being pretty kind of fun. They're going, oh yeah, we're dead last, 0-2. Like I get it, you want to stay loosey goosey. But I don't know if he's joking about 0-3, right? Like I think at that point you're like, we got to get our, we got to
pull it together.
Yeah,
and that's that mental shift, Dusty, right? Like where it's just like I think the difference between 0-2 and 0-3 is big, even if it's not like statistically that massive of a difference. It's mentally, I think, a massive difference.
Kevin on the nasty chat here says, hey, where's Gager? Oh, he's right there. Gager's right there. Gager said he's going to be about 5 minutes late, and I'm assuming he's probably volunteering somewhere, giving meat to somebody in exchange for credit for his daughter's dance. I think that's how he usually operates. Like he's either doing a bingo or he's working at Commonwealth, or there's something going on here where Gager's like volunteering his time for his kids.
The newest thing is he's selling ice melt.
We'll find out where Gager is. He is going to pop in. He is going to join us. I want to wait till Gager joins us to dive into this shuffling of the lines, because I think there's a really good discussion to have there. Cass, what do you think? Gager texted us on Saturday and said, man, Ekholm just doesn't look like he's got that power that he needs to push to the right. Were you seeing the same thing? I know you guys probably talked about that, but does this look like if they win game 1, he's not playing game? Like, is this?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think if they don't, or even if they, not if they win game 1, but if they lose in a close game and they play decent defense, let's say they lose, like let's say it's Ekholm not in the lineup and they lose, game 1 is game 2 in terms of the way the game went, where they outshot the team, they probably outplayed them and they lost. I don't think Ekholm's playing game 2 in that instance. He's probably going to get another couple days of skating in, because he didn't. Now the big question is it because he has rust because he didn't play in the preseason, or is it that there's still something lingering, nagging there that he is just unable to push to that side, which kind of looked like it's the case. And if you look at the one goal where he got beat wide, like how many times last year did we see that happen to him after we got here?
He was so good. You couldn't get around him, man. Like
you couldn't get around him like that. And it was just like he couldn't, or didn't in that instance, wasn't able to push and transition to that side to open up cleanly and smoothly to be able to get that extra half step to truly impede with his stick the shot going through. So yeah, I mean, it will certainly an area of interest tonight to watch him, to see how his skating is, and to see, well, was it rust or is it something that's nagging? And we talked about this before the season. Like, I would rather have him out of the lineup and getting 100% healthy, because you don't want this to be something that's going to be a lingering issue all year. You can't have that, because he's too valuable to this team. So
you'd rather have him miss 7 games if he had to, than roll into the second half of the year and being missing every third game and then be at 80% in the playoffs. Like, that's what you worry about. You worry about like this overreaction to the first game and rushing him back in there, kind of forcing him.
Cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag right now. You know, he's back now, unless they pull him from the lineup, which I don't see happening. Or maybe
because if you do, then you're all of a sudden admitting that, hey, he probably shouldn't have been going anyway.
He shouldn't have been playing.
The cat's kind of out of the bag in that situation. You did mention, that last game they had a ton of shots. They outshot him like 40-16 or whatever it was. But you said there was also good things to build on. Was there a few other things outside just getting a lot of shots on net that you did like from that group on Saturday? We know there was massive defensive blunders, but
The massive defensive blunders, but I did like the shoot first mentality. It felt like, at least in that game, if I'm picking positives, they didn't have the one too many passes, like where we've seen at times this team, like where it's trying to be too pretty. And not necessarily in the power play. I mean, I'm fine sometimes in the power play because they're so deadly with the puck movement, but it did really feel in this one like they were putting the puck to the net. And I mean, Vancouver, I think with the size of their defensemen, seems to do a decent job of clearing the front. Like, you're not getting a ton of secondary opportunities, or they're a more difficult team. I think they will be this year to get those second opportunities. But I did really like the puck to the net mentality, and that's something you don't want to lose, because they didn't get maybe as many goals as they would like, or as much offensive output as they'd like with it. But having that mindset of getting the puck to the net and creating offense and creating those opportunities, I think is a good thing. So if I'm taking something positive from that game that you want to carry forward and we want to see again tonight, it's that same shoot first mentality.
All right, Oilers and Preds tonight. We will have your Oil Stream pregame show with Tommy Gazzola. Cass is going to be on the post. Cass is going to be on the pregame. Gager's going to be on the post. Oilers, let's dive into it. Gager, I hope Gager's okay. He said he was just going to be 5 minutes late. What time is it? It's almost quarter after. Maddie, should you check in on him just to make sure he's okay? I'm worried about our little Gager. Usually he's not that late. I'm sure everything's fine. Like I said, he's probably doing something for charity somewhere. McDavid with Draisaitl and Kane, Nuge with Hyman and Fogle getting bumped up there. Brown comes down to play with McLeod and Holloway. Yamark with Ryan and Ernie. Now, we have seen them even skate with different lines at morning skate and then go back to kind of what they had before. So part of me is still not ready to believe that they're going to go with this group and bump Fogle up onto the second line and then put Kane with McDavid and Draisaitl on the top line. Cass, what do you think of this move? Two games into the season. What do you think?
Well, you're giving a little bit of a different look. I wonder if it sticks. And part of the reason I wonder it sticks is because I really like that third line still that they had before. Like, I like the Holloway, Fogle, McLeod line. And I thought they did a lot of good things. Now you're giving a little bit of a different look. You're moving it around a little bit. So we'll see if it sticks. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing, Dusty. If you're trying to play head games with other teams 3 games into the season, I don't know if I like it. So, I mean, and again, if we look at that game, it wasn't a lack of offensive opportunity that was the issue. So, do you need to switch it up? I don't know. Now, are you just trying to keep things fresh from a practice standpoint, give a little bit of a different look? Well, maybe, but I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Dusty, and I know you talked about it earlier on your show this morning, where it's like, I wonder if this is a little bit of a head fake.
Yeah, like I don't buy into Jay. Like, they're sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm not panicking down 0-2," but putting McDavid and Draisaitl together 3 games in when you're 0-2 does come across as a little bit of a panic, and I just don't see Woodcroft being super panic guy. Like, I don't see that. So maybe they start.
Well, I mean, you don't see him being a super panic guy. I mean, he hit the nuclear option game 1. Like,
well, but he shouldn't be. Like, to me, it's just,
no, he shouldn't be.
You're in a spot where you really want to get a win, and you're telling the rest of your team, "Hey, if we're gonna win, we got to have these guys together." And I just feel like if you're going to win it all, you're probably not going to do it with those guys together, because you got to be able to roll at least 3, preferably 4 lines deep, like, successfully. So I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They'll probably win the game in this fashion tonight, but I just don't like that it just drives home that, well, put those guys together, play them 22 minutes tonight, and you'll win a hockey game, because I don't think that's what, like, are you trying to win game 3 or you're trying to win a Stanley Cup this year? I don't know. Let's bring in, there he is, Joaquin Gage in the house. Gager, how you doing, man? I was worried about you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Where are you right now?
I'm at the office at the K4 Financial offices.
Is this the first time you've ever gone into work? Like, I don't think you've ever connected from K4 before.
No, I did. I was here last week, the week before. I was here last week, I think.
Oh,
too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know me, Dusty. I'm all over the city.
Well, we said you were probably giving away meat somewhere for your daughter's dance. That's kind of what we said.
Yeah. Selling ice melt is the newest gig, we figured.
What are you guys going to do when my daughter's done dance? Like, I'm going to have to adopt Cass's girls and keep doing it.
Hey, keep doing
Or maybe
volunteering.
Hey, you can fundraise for them all day.
Oh, Cash,
Maybe-
you
Fundraise
can.
for them all
Yeah.
I want Cass to become the Wiener Phantom of Commonwealth. Like, that would be great. I love that.
That would be
day.
great.
The Weeder
Yeah.
Phantom.
Yeah. Gager, we just got into the decision to put McDavid and Draisaitl together to start this. And like at the morning skate, that's how it was again. I'm still going to wait till I see it tonight. Like, I don't know. Woodcross played these types of games before. I don't know. Is this what you have to do here, Gager? If the others are going to win hockey games this year, 97-29, got to play together?
Against the Nashville Predators, I think so.
Just go crush them? Just go roll them? Like,
Yeah, just go. They've done it before. I don't have a problem with it against certain competition and a prior success. That's fine. But on the length of the whole season, Dusty, I don't think you can do it all the time. It's too easy for teams to key upon. They're still going to have issues with those two. I get that, but I think a more balanced attack throughout the whole season, and like I said, get everyone involved a little bit more is where the Oilers need to get to.
you know that top line is going to be money, usually is when they're put together. It always comes down to it gets broke up because nobody else is doing anything, right? So what would we expect of Nuge, Hyman, and Fogle? Can that line be productive enough that you're like, okay, we can get away with it? Because the second line's like they've only got one even strength goal in 2 games. It's only 2 games. It's one even strength goal. It was the beginning of the last game. Draisaitl bangs it in. Cass, what do you think of Nuge, Hyman, Fogle?
Well, I think you're going with let's call it a work ethic line, in that you're pairing Hyman and Fogle together, guys that are going to dig pucks out of corners, try to get the puck to the front of the net, and then a guy that can be semi or very responsible in Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So part of it wonders, part of me wonders if doing it this way is you're trying to increase their defensive capacity on that line, where it's like, okay, line one, you have your nuclear option, going to be so good offensively that teams are going to be hesitant to try to push the envelope offensively in the Oilers zone. Because they're too worried about giving up something off the rush or giving up something to McDavid and Draisaitl. And then that second group is like, okay, you pair that second group with, let's say Ekholm's looks better tonight and is playing better. And you pair that second group, I guess either with the Ekholm or with the nurse line, and you just try to build some responsible help to your defensemen. That I think could be the mindset, and that you're looking at this not as your offensive punch line, but as your, they're going to be responsible defensively. They're going to provide some help. They're going to do a better job on sort outs on the rush against, coming back into the zone, which is where they've really struggled so far. And you're going to run with it that way. And could it work? Yeah, maybe it works.
If your first line scores 4 goals, I guess you're okay anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
But they got to score 4 goals. That's the thing.
They'll get a few on the power play, I would think. That's probably happening tonight. Gager, Nuge, Hyman, Fogle.
I'd like to see them produce, but more so I'd just like them to be dominant 5-on-5 against whoever they're going up against. Great energy for other lines. If McDavid and Leon are together, they're going to probably have the bulk of the scoring divvied between those two, but just consistency throughout everybody and something else to build upon. That's what you really need when you're putting those two guys together is you can't have drop-offs from offensive zone time, like physical play. Has to be consistent throughout. I'm interested to see what that line does. That's a quick, hard-nosed line that can cause problems for. That's a really good line. Any other team in the NHL would love to put a line like that together.
Connor Brown moves down out of the top 6 if they do stick with what they practiced with the last 48 hours. And Brown will play with McLeod and Dylan Holloway. I think Holloway is getting to a point where he wants to confidently make plays in the NHL this year as opposed to trying to survive and get back off the ice, kind of like how we saw last year. Cass, what have you thought of Brown so far, and what do you think he could bring to that line that, let's be honest with you, maybe Fogle couldn't? Is there something there that Brown can do better or differently?
Well, I think you're hoping for a little bit more of a trigger man there, and to try to increase your goal scoring capacity for that line. I have liked Holloway's game, and as I said before, I really liked how that line had played when it was Fogle instead of Brown. Dylan Holloway has not been throwing away pucks, whether that's confidence or experience, or as you said, he's just not trying to survive. He's in more creation mode, which he looks like a better player in the regular season now than he did last year, which is a great thing. Where I think at this point last year we'd already seen like 5 grade A turnovers in the defensive zone by Holloway, and we haven't seen that yet. We've seen some confident plays. He's making the right decisions and good decisions, and so I think you're hoping with sliding Brown in with those two that he's going to be able to put the puck in the back of the net. Maybe create a little bit more offensive opportunity on that line, not just the mucking and grinding that they had largely done. Although they had good zone time and had a couple chances. I think you're saying, okay, well maybe we can increase the number of scoring chances as a total this line has, and maybe we have in Connor Brown a guy that can put the puck in the back of the net at a little bit of a better rate than Warren Foegele with this group.
Gage, what do you think of Campbell getting the call tonight?
Oh, let's see something. Let's take some goals away from the other team, right? Timely saves. I think, it's always a lot more difficult. Well, anyways, I found playing in a game where you're getting under 20 shots than you're getting 40. 40 is a much easier game to play just because you're into it, you're busy. If things are going well, your confidence is high. Having that lower shot total against you're trying to keep yourself ready. The chance is coming. There's that thing. I got to make this save. Hopefully that Campbell can get in there on the road where Nashville's going to try to come out hard. That's a tough building to come out in that first period. Weather a storm. Hopefully he can get to that 15 save mark before anything gets past him at any point and start feeling good about his game. Get some good saves. Maybe take a couple away. Get the bench involved with your goalie making a big save for you and rolling from there.
Cass, what do you think? And you won't be on the post game tonight. Gage is going to slide in there, but what if Campbell doesn't play well tonight? Like we saw Skinner come out, drop another 750. What if Campbell drops another 750 tonight? Cass mute.
I think it depends.
Got it.
I know.
That's a Cass mute. That's one. That's one.
I'm good for one a show. I think it depends on how. Like it depends on how. Yeah. Like you have 4 breakaways or 3 2-on-0s
or a couple of stinkers
and the puck goes in, or was it a couple of stinkers? Now if it's a couple of stinkers, this city's going to be red behind the ears or on the ears, however that cliche goes. Like people are going to be steaming. They're going to be more steamy than Gager's wieners at Commonwealth.
Those are steamy wieners.
Those are steamy wieners. People are going to be, yeah, and I probably will be too. I mean, you haven't got great goaltending thus far. I still don't think either of those 2 games you can lay on the goalies' heads. I think they're still the team that made the big mistakes in front of them. And I know you'd like to get that one save from Skinner or a big save in that game too. I get that. I understand that. I understand the frustration behind it. But to me, Dusty, it does just depend on how they go in, not just how many, but how they go in. Because if he's getting backdoored and there's like 3 backdoor tap-ins,
what he's supposed to blame him, right? Like that would be tough to do. So we'll see how it plays out. Skinner, quickly on Skinner, like Noodles brought it up when he was on our show today. Like you can't blame a goalie on a 2-0, but Gage, that 2-0 still seemed kind of weird. It looked like he sort of wanted to push across and then fell down and the puck went right through him. It was a 2-0, so the blame goes to Darnell Nurse and Foegele for shooting around, Nurse for not having awareness of where he needed to be at that moment. But it seems so weird with how Skinner tried to play that one.
It shouldn't be like that goal's on Skinner, Dusty. That was a savable puck.
The goalie's going to blame a goalie on a 2-0?
On a 2-0?
Yeah, but it wasn't
because he was there. You're saying he was there. Like, yeah.
On a 2-0, the goalie should be completely out of the net, Cass, and it's a tap in. No one executed properly. When Pettersson passed the puck, it was very early to the point where Stewart got over there in time, and it just went back the other way and went under his pad. Like usually Skinner comes across and is all solid. I I find that a very stoppable puck. He had a chance to stop it. He was in a position to stop it, and it went underneath him. He was there in time. It just wasn't solid. Some 2-on-1s, yes, it's a pass.
No
and
chance.
it's a tap into the back. No chance. He had a chance to save that puck. He had the ability to get over, get in the proper position to hopefully make the save. And like I'm saying, a lot of cases 2-on-0s are impossible because it's just too many passes. But in that case, he had the chance to make a huge difference. And as goalies, that's what you want too. Like, we haven't seen an Oilers goalie make one of those saves yet in the regular season. That was one case where if Stuart Skinner can make that save, that probably changes the whole outcome of the game. And I love Skinner, by the way.
You've come across as a huge Skinner guy. That's why I'm very surprised. Cass, does our knowledge of Gage being a very much a pro Skinner guy change the way you view his take on this?
No, I mean, it's still a 2-on-0. So I get that you think he had a chance at the puck,
but he did have a chance at the puck. Like, it went right through him, right? So
at the same time, I mean, you don't know. You're trying to hedge it to a certain extent, because if you completely commit, then the puck's just going back across. Like if you push out too far, and as far as the pass being early, we always talk about, like, in 2-on-1s, this way 2-on-0s are the same thing. Is you want to make that pass early. That first pass, you want that pass to be early, because you want to force the goalie to move, and you want to give yourself enough time to make another one. You force everybody to adjust in that instance. So I don't know. I mean, I get where he had a chance to save it. I get that, but I don't blame him for it. It shouldn't have been a 2-on-1 in the first place. And that's what it comes down to me, is like, yeah, we can sit and we can blame Skinner and say he had a chance at it, or he should have saved it, or should have this, or should have that. But it's like, well, it should have been a 2-on-1, right? Like, at worst, it should have been a 2-on-1, and it was a 2-on-0. And to me, that just puts unnecessary pressure on your goaltender.
I'm actually glad it was a 2-on-0. I would have been more upset because Darnell probably would have slid into the corner on his belly.
Well, let's talk. How does that happen? How do you give up 2-0 from that? Like, how can Darnell Nurse at this stage not identify that, hey, there's 4 of my teammates ahead of me? They probably don't need me to be jumping up into this rush, nor should I. Now, is he expecting Fogle to miss it and rip it around? No, but you still don't need 5 guys jumping up into the rush.
Even if it's on net.
Yeah.
Even if it's on net, you still have 5 guys below the tops of the circles with people behind you. Like, you have to shoulder. If you're going to go, you got to at least shoulder check. And if you shoulder check and you see 2 Vancouver Canucks jerseys behind you, you're putting on the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was extreme puck focus, and I mean, it was a bad play. It was just a bad play.
RCN texts in 780-218-9999. Revoke Gager's goalie union card in capital letters. Like, goalies who've been listening to 2 Guys and a Goalie forever, Gager, are just heartbroken right now. They're, no, Gager didn't say that, did he? Like,
but look, when there's a distinct feeling as a goalie when a puck goes past you and you feel it, like it hits your equipment or your jersey and squeaks through. You're like, oh my gosh, how did I not stop that? And I'm sure Stuart's gonna go, oh my God, there was a chance that I could have taken that one away, because it did hit him, like it hit the bottom of his pad a little bit, like that. Those are the most frustrating goals to allow, because you were there just to. So yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I think just the situation and what we've seen from Stuart Skinner before, that whole situation. I mean, even if you put a defenseman there, okay, like let's put an imaginary defense. The puck comes across and he allows that. And it goes right through you. Goal?
Yeah. Okay.
Is it still a bad goal on a 2-on-1? Because it's just one pass. It's not 2 or 3, right? It's one pass and a shot. On a 2-on-1, if that happens and it goes underneath him, we're probably saying, nah, Stuart Skinner probably should have had that.
That might be the best point you made so far. Mind you, at that point, he might on a 2-on-1, let's say it gets through Nurse and he's laying on his belly, he might be thinking that can't get back across, so I can commit to it better. Whereas in the other situation, he might be thinking, right, Cass, is that what you're shaking your head for? Like,
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well.
stop it. You guys aren't thinking like goalies. Stop it.
Eden is in and says Nurse was staring at Cece's nameplate, calling for the puck. So, yeah, you know what? Sometimes you get excited, chance to score. You got to go do it. But we'll see how they approach it tonight. Hey, would you like to see them go 11-7, or do you keep Ernie in here and just roll the 12-6 and have Desharnais be the scratch? Or, I mean, what would you like to see, I guess? They're not like real teams where you got a few extra bodies kicking around. We've got used to this here now in Edmonton. There's usually 1 or 0 bodies available to work into the lineup. I can't imagine sitting here. You know how much more time we'd have for content if I was like, okay, there's 3 options tonight to put into the lineup. What do you do? We haven't got the chance to do that in like 18 months. Cass, 11-7 or Adam Ernie in the lineup and playing 6 minutes?
11-7, need a better penalty kill. Get Desharnais in there.
I'm going 12-6. Broberg's coming out. Desharnais needs to go in for the penalty kill.
It would be interesting with a penalty kill that's just been absolutely getting torched so far. If well, let me see. I think. Let me just double check on this. Hang on. Yeah, Desharnais was rotating in on the blue line today. So if you believe in morning skates leading into games, then looks like Broberg might stick in there. I guess my follow-up question to that would be why?
Like, why keep Broberg
Yeah, like,
in there?
why would you give Broberg more run than Desharnais right now? Especially when your penalty kill sucks the big one and Broberg ain't a penalty killer.
That's why I say he did. Yeah. Broberg hasn't fired it up lately. He looked, wasn't it the first Kuzmenko goal in the corner? Kind of not, or that was Kulak. Sorry, but still not recognizing danger in front of the net. Kind of puck focused on the penalty kill. And we saw what Desharnais did last year, basically when he came in and calmed everything down. He's big, rangy, mean. It needs to be more difficult for the opposing team to get to the hard areas to score goals like that. 2 tip goals shouldn't happen.
Hit us up in the Nasty Chat or at 780-218-9999. Zedmo says Nurse had a career year of offensive numbers against all Canadian teams, and they whipped a blank check at him. We don't need to get into the contract today. That's like a once a month. Once a month we can discuss contracts. How's that sound? That's a contract day on 2 guys and a goalie. Really exciting. Nashville Predators tonight, the opposition. Nashville's never really been an offensive juggernaut. I'll be interested to see what they're able to provide this year. Ryan O'Reilly between Forsberg and Juuso Parssinen. Cody Glass with Cole Smith and Nyquist. Evangelista with Novak and Tomasino. I think that's kind of like a young line that they want to get some buzz from. Colton Sissons with Trennan and Sherwood. And then, the one thing that I always find interesting is putting McDavid and Draisaitl together against league elite defensemen. Now, the Oilers have torched the Nashville Predators, but as Cass has claimed in the past, Roman Yossi's the best defenseman in the history of the game. And they're going to roll out Roman Josi there with Dante Fabro, McDonough Carrier, Jeremy Lazon, and Tyson Barrie. How does this Preds team shape up tonight, Cass? You go first on this one, man. Like, when you look at this Nashville roster that I just laid out, on paper, the Edmonton Oilers should be significantly better. But what's the hot take on the Preds right now?
Well, first, that's a little excessive of an explanation of how I feel about Roman Josi. So you
don't like Roman Josi. Interesting.
No, he's not just the best defenseman. He's the best player ever in the history. Yeah. No, I like Roman Josi. He's one of the best defensemen in the game. This Nashville team, to me, they're going to try to, if they're going to be successful, they're going to have a Seattle Kraken of last year mentality, where it's going to be a little bit up and down the lineup, and they have to find a way to do it balanced, where it's not like there's such excessive firepower that they're going to be able to do it with one line. If Edmonton sticks with the nuclear option, then it's can Josi shut it down? Because that's the matchup you're going to see all night. And can he do a good enough job of maintaining puck control, of forcing turnovers, and of offensive possession time that they're able to minimize that threat and try to have their balanced attack win the day? Like, that's going to be their mentality heading into this. I don't think Nashville's a playoff team. I don't think there's enough up front for them. They don't have the stud power. They're going to be a work ethic type of team, and yeah, I mean they're going to try to go about this a balanced way.
Gage, is this a good thing for the Oilers tonight? It's kind of like that work ethic team. It's not one that, they're probably not going to outskill the Oilers, but they, Oilers might have to grind a little bit maybe against these guys tonight.
It's going to be a good test. I mean, the one thing that gives me pause is obviously having Yossi McDonough a little bit long on the tooth, but still quite good defenseman. UC Saros, his ability to make 45 to 50 saves and be a difference maker in a one game situation. The Oilers are going to need to find a way to get to him early. Don't let him become comfortable, because as we've seen over the past years, he's I could comfortably put him in the top 6 goalies in the NHL right now.
I think that's fair. I mean, I don't know how you get him any lower. I don't think you can name 6 goalies better than UC Saros right now.
Yeah, so that's that part, because we saw what happened against the Canucks, firing 46 shots or whatever it was, and Casey DeSmith, he managed to keep the Canucks in the game the whole time, and that's the only fear I have with this game. How it lines up as kind of a repeat that we saw last Saturday against the Canucks.
Let's get to a couple quick text messages here. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. This one says, I just ran into Lieutenant Eric at Fife and Deckel. He was super polite, shook my hand, and took a selfie. I was watching this show when I noticed him standing in line. It was like it was meant to be. That's it from Ian, who's spotting Lieutenant Eric out in the wild, which is nice. Threw the question out on Twitter, and you know what? Let me try to create I might create a little poll here right now. Let's add a poll on this one. I think we kind of both know where we're at, and we're going to get to some comments on it, but who should be in the lineup right now? Broberg or Vincent? What do you guys think this number is going to be? What do you think the split is on this right now?
I think you're 75% Vincent.
Vincent?
I think so.
I'm going to go 80 Vincent.
All right, well, we'll see where people vote on that. Now, a couple of the comments on it. D. White says, Broberg needs to be in the NHL to figure it out if they want him to keep, or if they want to figure out if they want to keep him or trade him. 73 is simply not a difference maker. Penner's Pancake says, I'm sorry, but Vincent brings much more to the team right now than Broberg. Maybe 3 to 4 years from now, Broberg will be on track. But for present time, they should be going with the big man. And Zedmo says, Broberg just looks too easy to play against. And Double 3A says, they need to play Broberg tonight to showcase him in the future for a trade to get UC Saros. So there's a lot of different theories on here. By the way, a UC Saros trade would be absolutely insane. Cass, how much of the season and we talked about this going into the year, and we'll get to some other stories around the National Hockey League as well. But how do you manage the evaluating Broberg, but icing your best blue line if he's not necessarily a part of it some nights?
It's hard, which is why they're playing him. It's hard to evaluate that. And I think what makes it more complex is that you're in your winning window. I mean, this isn't like you're a developing team where you can give him all kinds of rope and all kinds of opportunities. Like, well, no, you need him to seize the moment, as it were, and he hasn't to this point. I mean, you're going to be looking at the opponent. You're going to be looking at how much you can actually play him. But it's a tough situation, guys. Like I don't know if I have a great answer for you on that, Dusty.
I know. I don't know how you manage it. It's not an ideal spot to be in, right? You want to play him enough so you kind of know what he is. But if you play him too much and he hurts you, you're not going to get a good trade for him. And if it clicks, then okay, congratulations, you got yourself a defenseman. But it's a weird thing to have patience with, Gager. I don't know. I feel like there'll be less patience here than more with Broberg and time to click. This is not a 19-year-old that they're slotting in here. This is a guy who's almost 5 years past his draft year, right? Like, this is the time that it should start to click, at least to the point where you can play him confidently for 14 to 15 minutes a night on a third pair.
Yeah, I've been looking into the crystal ball to the trade deadline, and just watching that game last night, I was thinking of how to replace some toughness, and I'm looking at Broberg to Chicago. We still need more cap space, but Corey Perry, I think, should be a target for the Edmonton Oilers.
Well, you should be able to get
point.
but isn't Corey Perry like on a ridiculously stupid, highly priced deal?
It's $4 million, so there's going to have to.
That sounds like
they're
near
have to
impossible.
Get an injury. Yeah, it's God. I was thinking, oh, how much does he make? It can't be much, but yeah, I don't know, Dusty. I was hoping to see more of Broberg kind of have that Holloway training camp where he was taking over a little bit more of the game from the back end, and I haven't seen that yet. And I know it's only 2 games, and it's not long enough to really. And it's silly of me to start thinking about possible trades. Hopefully he can. I mean, if you could kind of swap for a right-handed defenseman,
just a veteran of some sort, like
with that might make more sense. But we've said this for months now that these 2 guys, especially Desharnais and Broberg, need to take a huge step this year and establish themselves as regular, everyday NHL defensemen that Dave Manson can implement at all times during the game and not feel like we got to get these guys off the ice as soon as possible. And
still time to do it if you can start winning games, and they will.
Yeah,
right? And then we'd be talking. They could be 6-4 in their first 10. We go, you know what? Small steps for Broberg, right? The whole conversation could be different in 3 weeks. We've only got the 2 games to base it on right now. So
he could have a hat trick tonight, and we could be giving him the nose.
81-19 is the split right now in favor of Vincent being in the lineup over top of Broberg. I want to talk about a couple of other things around the league. So quickly, just to wrap this Edmonton Nashville prediction for tonight, guys. What do you think happens?
8-1 Edmonton.
Man, I should expect it. I should expect it to come, Cass. But you get me every time, dude. Like I'm still like, oh, Cass. I'm thinking 5-2 Oilers. Gage, what are you on?
Fortunately, it's 4-2 Nashville.
Holy smokes! Holy smokes! If you're on the post game tonight, if Nashville wins 4-2, people are coming for your throat, bud. I'm just saying that's how it'll be.
I'm just telling it like it is, Dusty.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Man, that would be quite the scene. All right, Connor Bedard has gone on a whirlwind tour here to start his National Hockey League career. Like, we're talking big market after big market. Had the opening night against Sidney Crosby. Where else did they go? Boston, Toronto, Montreal. Taylor Hall was talking about it yesterday how it's a little bit overwhelming, he thinks, for him because he's got to do multiple in-game interviews in all of these major markets. Cass, do you think the NHL is piling a little bit too much on to a young Connor Bedard here at the start of his career off the ice?
You're trying to make money, and you're trying to have people read articles and watch shows or watch games and pay attention. And I mean, I think from a PR standpoint, it's a brilliant move. It's what you want. You have a player playing in a big US market, and you're trying to showcase it. So do I feel bad for him? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's got to be overwhelming. That's got to be overwhelming. I mean, you probably can't leave the hotel. Like, you're eating hotel food in your room because it's like you just don't want to have to deal with more of the circus to a certain extent. But you also have to understand it. It's a business. It's a money-making business. Makes a lot of money, and you're trying to showcase early on to try to increase the buzz for the season. So I'm not surprised by it. I wasn't surprised when I saw the schedule that they had him playing for, in all the major markets. I mean, it's season's fresh, and you're trying to create excitement. I mean, it's not as much like, how much less excitement would it be if Connor Bedard doesn't play in Toronto until Christmas time, right? Like, there could be some hype still, but the hype is just so high that you want to try to capitalize on it now. So, is it a little overwhelming for him? Well, probably, but it's not going to be.
It's not ruining him. Like, this is not going to. No, he's looking great on the ice. I mean,
no, he's still playing well. Yeah. So no.
Gage, what do you think? Do you think the team should say, no, only one in-game interview today? Like,
Dusty, you know me with F1. All the access as much as possible. Get him in the hotel room too, eating and skip the dishes on the bed there. That's what they should do. I think it's great. I like it. He's I mean, yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. He's been talking to people every time. Maybe it's a little bit more ramped up. I think the good thing is Chicago hasn't really fallen apart like everyone thought. They're actually quite competitive, right?
Yeah.
Like big win in Toronto. As long as things, I think, as long as they stay competitive and not like really, I mean, maybe they might fall off, but as long as they're good games and he keeps performing, I think it's fine to do those interviews. It's if the slumps start happening and the team's not doing well and you get that extra pressure from the outside, that's when maybe it's time to pull the reins back and let the kids play a little bit. But for now, it's fine.
You guys,
And
yeah, go ahead,
and
Cass.
I was going to say, when you order Skip the Dishes, it's Popeyes chicken.
Of course it is.
100%.
100%. It has to be. We're in the Popeyes Louisiana
Every
kitchen
single
studio
time.
right now. Like, are we kidding? I was going to say, but from a room service perspective, now when you guys were on the road with your teams, I'm assuming it was just a lot of team meals, so you probably wouldn't have done room service much. I'm on the road quite a bit every weekend during the summer for CFL, obviously. Did you guys, I know it varies from hotel to hotel, but like, would you get like a club sandwich? Would you get a burger? Would you just get soup when you ordered room service? Was there one thing? Because this is because I'm a child, but I'm like chicken fingers and fries room service guy. That's how I operate. But where are you guys at?
Well, now is dramatically different than before, where before you're actually watching what you eat, and generally speaking, you usually don't like when you get let's say you practice at home and you hop on a plane the day before a game, fly somewhere. Usually you're going out to eat
At night when
Now,
you
some
get into
guys
town, go for dinner.
At night, you usually go for dinner at a restaurant. Usually it's not a team meal. Sometimes you have them. Usually it's not a team meal. So usually you're on your own to go find dinner. And some guys would just like eating at the hotel. Some guys would like going to eat out. And you had your groups. I always tell young players that we work with that, you have to pay attention to who you go out to dinner with, because if they're in a different pay grade than you got to be careful with what gets spent at dinner time. I just, you don't go wrong with a burger typically.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty safe where they're going to be decent than getting something super fancy. It's like if I'm going to get some kind of a chicken dish or something like that, I probably want to be in the restaurant and not have it.
I would say a burger is even safer than chicken tendies, because sometimes you'll just get like sometimes you can really hit with them, but sometimes they're awful.
They can be soggy though. Yeah.
Gager?
It was always Morton's. we would go for a bite at Morton's, like really
Morton's
risky
is solid.
steakhouse.
Yeah,
it's so
Morton's is
good. I would get the Oysters Rockefeller Cajun ribeye with the Godiva chocolate cake, which I had to order 2 because sometimes my roommate Dan Cleary would stay back at the hotel and want me to bring him one. So
is that good? You had to be delivery guy.
If you ever get to the States, just go to the Morton's. You have to order it 45 minutes before
to get
they have to make it from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just it's a chocolate cake with molten chocolate inside, and you cut it. It's like you cut a beautiful little thing of chocolate and it starts bleeding.
The inside chocolate, like
yeah. Oh my God,
man! I'll say a lot of good places don't do good chocolate dishes right for dessert. Like you got to hit right. The place I go to in Regina, Memories, we're usually so stuffed by the time dessert rolls around that we're not hitting it, but the owner there will sometimes force it upon us. And as soon as it gets on the table, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm having that. Like it's just, it's unbelievable. So good. Okay, I want to play this game with you guys too. There's one guy in the league I'm already getting sick and tired of hearing about this year. I want to see if you guys can guess who it is. If you're watching right now, give you time to guess. But I've just seen too much of him for the impact he makes, and it's starting to get on my nerves already. Gager, do you have a guess?
It's Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, it's Ryan Reeves. Sorry, Cass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm seeing way too much of Ryan Reeves in Toronto for a guy who's getting absolutely caved in his own end. And he's throwing a hit here. Jack Guy actually had a pretty good deal with him. He fought Foligno, who I don't think really moves the needle. And it's just like, look at the impact that Reeves is having. And I don't want to take anything away. Cass, you kind of played that role. It was a completely different role than the one that Reeves is trying to play now in today's game. But I guess it's just because it's Toronto, man, but I don't need to hear everything that Ryan Reeves says all season. I just don't.
Well, it's Toronto. That's why. I mean, that's why.
But they're acting like he's the final piece of the puzzle, for goodness sakes.
Well, but he does bring a different environment.
He brings the other team a huge advantage anytime he's on the ice. That's what he brings. Like, I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't see it.
He brings the deflection because from the big guys having off nights. If he goes out and has 2 fights and the best 4 in the world don't have a point, they probably won't care as much because Reeves is in there and showing his belt. I mean, they're talking. Who was it? Was it Tavares that was the games, or Matthews was the game star, but gave it to Reeves?
Yeah, gave it to
and
Reeves.
Then everyone. Oh my gosh, jeez, that's.
I just don't think I don't think I can take it, and I think we're gonna just be force fed it all bloody year, and I've already had enough of it.
Especially that hit where he hits the guy from behind, and Jack Guy kind of just manhandles him a little bit.
And then
right?
Reeves says, "Well, yeah, I don't jump guys," but I was like, first of all, the gloves basically came off at the same time, and you just hit a guy from behind. What are you expecting? Like,
yeah, what do you expect? Of course, you're gonna get jumped when you sucker a guy from behind. So, yeah, I mean, it's a soap opera out there. It'll be.
I want more of it, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
You want more Ryan Reeves fed down our throats? You're nuts.
Yeah,
Cass.
then we don't have to listen. We don't have to listen about how Austin Matthews is going to score 80 goals this year and get a hat trick every game. So
I just can't wait till we get to the playoffs
okay
and he plays 3 minutes and is -1 and they win 4-2 and they're like, we won that game because of Ryan Reeves. Like,
hey, man, don't discount what it can do in a room. And I mean, Austin Matthews giving him that star. I know, Gage, you're rolling your eyes. Dusty, you're rolling your eyes. But to me, I'm just like, that says something to me. That says something to me about the dressing room. And don't be so quick to discount it. So, I mean, the media is going to do what the media is going to do.
Does it say that they were insanely soft before and now the Big Brother's here?
Yep.
Like, that basically what this is?
Big Brother's here, but hey, I'm telling you, if it provides a little bit of a different mentality in that dressing room,
But what if he ends up being like
okay.
-25 on the season?
If it takes some of the pressure away from the Stars, even from a media standpoint, is it not mission accomplished for him? Like, I don't know. I'm not so quick to jump all over this like you guys are.
I mean, you might be making some valid points, but we don't need to hear about it. Like, do we have to hear about every other guy in the league who's tough that does things?
Well,
like,
if he's on Toronto,
and that's the reason. Like, I don't need to hear about somebody that much just because he's a Maple Leaf when we haven't really heard about anything on any other team he's ever played on.
But that's every Maple Leaf for the last 20 years, Dusty.
Especially with a tough guy, he's gonna be more recognizable, I think, than some other players on the team this year.
Ontario Momes comes in and says they should give him the C. I'm paraphrasing Ontario.
No, nobody's giving him the C. Anyway, I know we're gonna be like logging on to TSN every day, and it'll be like a storyline: Reeves 4 PIMs, Leafs win. It's just I don't need it. I'm already done with Ryan Reeves, and I love the fact that Jack Guy actually fed him a few shots. I like that kid. Like, I like where that kid's head's at. And now I guess I'm going to sit here. I thought that was kind of big for the Habs to be able to feed Reeves a few shots early in the season in that head-to-head matchup. So we'll see. Said they're going to go again, so we've got that looking forward to. We don't have that very often anymore where, you actually have like a fight that you're kind of looking forward to. So
yeah, enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. Like, enjoy it, guys. I know it's maybe been a little bit much, but it is Toronto. So what do you expect? And yeah, it makes it fun.
How come this guy can't play for Minnesota still? Right, just go play for Minnesota. I don't know why he's got to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's just.
Well, let's see what he does when he gets trapped in the seaweed.
Yes, that's right, Desharnais. Wouldn't that be something? Somebody said Evander Kane and Reeves. Let's go. We'll see.
Oh, Desharnais and Reeves.
Desharnais and Reeves. That's a big body. Yeah, We'll see. I didn't know Foligno can handle himself relatively well.
He holds himself. Yeah, he'd be a solid middleweight 10 years ago.
I saw something pop up. I don't know if you guys saw it just quickly before we wrap. Was some guys got into a pretty good tilt. I don't even know what the league was. And then as he was being taken off the ice, he grabbed a sign from the bench that said, "Happy birthday, Mom." And he held it up as he skated off and he blew his mom a kiss. It had to have been like a junior C somewhere or something, but I thought that was kind of funny. That was pretty good. All right, that's going to do it for two guys and a goalie. Cass will be on the pregame tonight with Tommy Gazzola, 4:30 to get you ready for the Oilers and the Preds. An hour and a half pregame, live, local, static-free right here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And then Gager will be hopping on after to break down everything post-game following the Oilers' first win of the season, I think. But we'll see how that plays out. Boys, we'll talk to you on Thursday. I guess I'll talk to you later on today as well. See you guys later.